What if everything you believe about women, about love, desire, even attraction, was only half the story? What if the real truth isn't in what she says, but in what she never says out loud? A subtle glance, a shift in tone, a moment of silence after a shared laugh. These aren't random behaviors, they're encrypted messages written in the language of female psychology, ancient, precise, and powerful. Most men miss them. They chase signals that are loud and obvious. But women, especially women who know their worth, communicate in whispers, not megaphones. And once you understand this language, you'll see attraction, connection, and even rejection in a completely different light. This is not a game, this is not manipulation, this is mastery, because the man who learns to read her unspoken cues becomes unforgettable. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start understanding, welcome. This is the secret psychology of women. Most men think intimacy ends when the climax fades, but for women, that's often when the real connection begins. While a man may drift into sleep satisfied and detached, a woman's body is just beginning to speak softly, chemically, emotionally. The hormone oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, floods her system. It tells her, stay close, trust, open up. That's why a woman may want to talk, cuddle, or simply feel your presence. Not because she's needy, but because biology is telling her this is safe, keep him near. And here's the secret: most men never realize how you behave after the act defines how she remembers it. I once dated a woman who told me, the moment you turn away after sex, I feel like I vanish. She didn't need poetry, she needed presence. If you want to be unforgettable, don't vanish. Stay. Touch her hair. Ask her how she feels. Let silence be soft, not empty. Because to her, the afterglow isn't a cool down, it's the climax of emotional connection. A woman rarely walks up and says, I want you, but she'll say it 100 other ways if you know how to listen without your ears. Women are masters of subtlety, not because they're hiding, but because evolution taught them subtle is safe. Quiet is powerful. When a woman is interested, she speaks in a silent language of movement, gaze, energy. Her pupils dilate slightly. She tilts her head when you talk. Her voice softens by half a tone, and you can almost feel the warmth in her words. Watch her feet. Yes, her feet. Are they pointing toward you? That's a subconscious signal of engagement. Is she playing with her hair, adjusting her clothes, or lightly touching her neck? These are not random habits. These are rituals of attraction repeated for centuries across cultures, encoded in the female psyche. And here's what most men get wrong. They confuse shyness with disinterest, or boldness with availability. But when a woman is truly into you, she dances right on the line between distance and closeness. She won't leap, but she'll lean. And then let me give you a story. I was at a small art exhibit, nothing fancy, just local painters. I noticed a woman looking at the same piece as me. She didn't say a word, but she stood close, almost brushing my shoulder, even though the gallery was half empty. Then Dee and I turned to comment about the colors, and her eyes locked on mine just a second longer than expected. Her lips parted, she nodded slowly and said, It's calming, isn't it? That wasn't a statement about the painting, that was an invitation. And she didn't ask for my number. She gave me a bridge and waited to see if I'd cross it. A woman's safety. Physical, emotional, reputational has been a concern throughout history, so instead of exposing herself to rejection or danger, she learned to signal. Eye contact held for just too long, she's scanning for emotional connection. Laughter at unfunny jokes, she wants rapport, not punchlines. Fidgeting with objects, her body is channeling excitement or nerves. Mirroring your gestures or posture, her subconscious is syncing with you. These aren't tricks, they're truths. But you'll only see them if you stop trying to impress and start observing. Be present, not performative. The men who captivate women the most are not the loudest or flashiest, they're the most tuned in. They make women feel seen, heard, felt, without a single brag or boast. So when she stands a little closer, when her voice lingers on your name, when her laugh comes a second too soon, don't miss it. That's not coincidence. That's chemistry speaking in code. There's a myth out there, dangerous, outdated, and flat out wrong. Indeed, it says that women's desire fades with age, that after their 20s the spark dims, the fire softens, and passion becomes a memory. And that myth wasn't created by women, it was created by men who never learned how to evolve with them. Women in their 30s, 40s, even 50s aren't past their prime, they're entering it. Why? Because something powerful happens when a woman begins to know herself. She stops apologizing for what she wants. She lets go of people-pleasing in the bedroom. She doesn't wait for permission to feel sexy, she claims it. While younger women may still be navigating shame, comparison, and validation seeking, older women often say, "I'm done performing, I want something real. And I'm not afraid to ask for it." You don't have to take my word for it, just ask science. Women between 35 and 50 often experience heightened libido. Hormonal shifts like estrogen balancing or dropping progesterone can intensify sensitivity, pleasure, and erotic dreams. Even more fascinating, emotional readiness plays a role. These women are less distracted by insecurity. They're more in tune with their senses. They know what turns them on and what doesn't. Julia is a corporate lawyer, polished, precise, always in control. But in her words, "I didn't feel like I fully owned my sexuality until after 40. In my 20s, I faked orgasms. In my 30s, I explored, but now I want presence, depth, someone who listens with their hands, not just their ears." Julia isn't rare, she's rising. The number of women in their 40s exploring tantra, sensuality retreats, and authentic intimacy is growing globally. They're not looking for men who look good shirtless. They're looking for men who are emotionally fluent. Older women are clearer on what they don't want and more open about what they do. They're less turned on by games, more excited by certainty. Less attracted to smooth talkers, more drawn to men who make them feel seen. They don't chase mystery, they want mastery. A man who understands that intimacy isn't just penetration, it's presence, rhythm, emotion, restraint, and respect. If you're only pursuing youth, you may be missing depth. If you're chasing surface-level beauty, you might overlook women with layers of sensuality, intelligence, and emotional richness. And then don't fear her experience. Learn from it. Rise to meet it. Because when a confident, mature woman opens up to you, it's not casual. It's intentional. You've seen it. The woman in heels at 8 a.m., the one wearing red lipstick to buy groceries, the sharp blazer, the backless dress, the oversized sweater with no bra underneath. And maybe you've thought she must be dressing to impress someone. Here's the truth. Most of the time it's not about you at all. Women don't wake up and scroll through outfits thinking, "How can I attract men today?" They dress based on mood, energy, cycle, season, even waxing schedule. And above all, they dress for one person, only themselves. Clothing for women is emotional armor. It's communication without words. It's self-expression, regulation, transformation. A fitted dress may say I'm powerful today. A hoodie and messy bun might mean I'm soft and inward. Leather boots, I'm setting boundaries, don't mess with me. No bra, I'm tired of rules, let me feel free. In fact, multiple studies show that women's choice of attire fluctuates based on hormonal shifts, stress levels, and even the weather, not external attention. And yet, men misread the message. She's showing skin, she must be thirsty. Wrong. Sometimes it's just hot outside. Other times she's reclaiming control over a body the world keeps trying to own. A friend once told me a story about his coworker, strong, confident, mid-30s. One day she showed up in a stunning red dress. Not tight, not revealing, just elegant. Half the office whispered about who she was trying to impress. But the truth, it was her late mother's birthday. That dress was a tribute, a memory, a symbol of grace passed down. She wasn't dressing for desire, she was dressing for grief, and no one had the emotional intelligence to ask. Women know men notice, but that doesn't mean they dress for your notice. Sometimes, yes, they want to be seen, admired, validated. Who doesn't? But more often they want to feel like themselves in a world that constantly pulls them in 1,000 directions. Their clothes aren't always an invitation. Sometimes they're a shield. Don't read too much into what she wears. Instead, ask, how does she carry herself today? Is she energized or withdrawn? Is her posture proud or defensive? Because her clothing is just the surface. The real message is in the energy underneath. And if you want to connect with her, compliment her confidence, not her curves. Admire her poise, not just her polish. That's what separates the men who just look from the men who truly see. Muscles can turn heads, status can spark curiosity, but emotional intelligence, that's what keeps her thinking about you long after you've left the room. If confidence is the spark, emotional intelligence is the flame. It's not just about being nice. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage your emotions and respond to the emotions of others with awareness. It's reading the pause before her answer and knowing it wasn't hesitation, it was hurt. It's hearing her raise her voice and realizing she's not angry, she's overwhelmed. It's the man who doesn't just ask what's wrong, but also knows how to listen when she doesn't know how to say it. EQ is being able to sit with discomfort and not run from it. That's rare. That's masculine. That's attractive as hell. A woman I interviewed once told me about a man she dated briefly, a quiet entrepreneur in his late 30s. She had just lost her dog of 12 years. She was grieving raw, numb spiraling. Most men would have tried to fix it, offer advice, say something like "you'll feel better soon." He didn't. He sat with her on the floor, handed her tea and said, "We don't need to talk, I'm just here." Then he stayed, in silence, for an hour. She said, "No man ever made me feel safer in my sadness." She fell in love with his silence, not his words. Evolution wired women to prioritize emotional safety. In ancient tribes, a woman's survival depended not just on strength, but on a man's capacity to protect her psychologically. A partner who panicked, dismissed, or ignored emotion was a liability. That instinct lives on. Today, women are surrounded by men who talk over them, mock emotions, or shut down the moment things get too deep. But the man who stays present in the storm, that's the one she remembers. Want to stand out. Don't just make her laugh, make her feel understood. Don't just touch her body, learn to touch her emotional landscape. And when she cries or shuts down or spirals, don't pull away. Lean in, because any man can charm her when she's smiling. But only the rarest man can hold space when she's breaking. And that man, that's the one she tells her friends he's different. A brush of the hand, a palm gently on her lower back as you walk through a crowd, fingertips on her shoulder during a shared laugh. These are not moves, these are messages. And to a woman's subconscious mind, these small touches can feel more intimate than sex. Before we spoke, we touched. It's the first sense we develop as humans. And for women, especially emotionally aware women, touch communicates things words cannot. I see you. I'm with you. You're safe here. Oxytocin, the same hormone we discussed earlier, is released through gentle, trusted physical contact. But here's the key. It only works when the touch is emotionally aligned. A touch that's rushed, forced, or misplaced. It causes tension, but a touch that's grounded, attuned, and respectful. It builds closeness faster than any pickup line ever could. A woman once told me about a moment she never forgot, not because it was bold, but because it was precise. She and her date were riding home in a cab. The night had gone well, nothing overly romantic yet. But as the car turned a corner sharply, he instinctively reached over, not to grope, not to cling, but just to brace her arm lightly. She said it wasn't sexual, it was protective, and in that instant I thought, he sees me. She leaned into him the rest of the ride, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Brief but intentional, resting your hand gently on her back as you lead her through a door. Grounding, holding her hand during a vulnerable story, not interlocking fingers, just holding space. Playful, a nudge, a fingertip tap, a shoulder bump during laughter. Reassuring, a palm on the knee. During tough conversations, saying, "I'm not going anywhere." Women remember how you made them feel in their body, not just what you said with your mouth. This power can be misused. Don't touch to test boundaries. Touch when connection has already been built. A man who understands timing, energy, and emotion becomes unforgettable, not because he's aggressive, but because he's attuned. Practice touch like you'd play a musical instrument, with rhythm, grace, and attention. Know when to reach, know when to pause, and most of all, read the room. A woman who trusts your touch will trust your leadership, your heart, your presence. Because touch is not physical, it's relational. And when done right, it says, "I'm here not to take, but to honor." She laughs easily. She flirts playfully. She might even sleep with you, but none of that means she trusts you. Trust in a woman's world is not given, it's built. Brick by brick, gesture by gesture, moment by moment. And when she finally feels safe, everything changes. Every woman, consciously or not, carries emotional armor. It may not look like a shield, it might be humor, detachment, independence, even flirtation, but it's still armor. Why? Because every woman has at some point been ignored when she spoke from the heart, shamed for her feelings, touched without consent, gaslighted for her intuition, told she was too much when she was just being real. So she adapts, smiles when she's uncomfortable, acts chill when she's hurting, pretends she's okay when she's anything but. Then one day, you do something different. Not dramatic, not romantic, but real. Maybe you ask her a second time, "No, really, how are you?" Maybe you stay calm when she panics. Maybe you don't joke when she's vulnerable. You just listen. And in that moment, something shifts. Her body softens. Her eyes meet yours without performance. Her voice slows down. She's not trying to impress you anymore. She's with you. That's the moment you've earned a version of her that no one else sees. Not because you conquered her, but because you created safety. I once heard a story about a woman who'd always been guarded. She dated but never trusted. One night after a quiet dinner, the man she was seeing sent her a simple voice note. "I just want you to know I see you. You don't have to explain or justify anything with me. Take your time, I'm not in a rush." She cried when she heard it, not because he was poetic, but because he was present without pressure. She said, "That's when I knew I could finally exhale." Too many men mistake dominance for attraction, but what women crave, especially those who've been burned, is containment. Not control, not perfection, but a calm masculine presence that doesn't flinch when she's chaotic, that doesn't withdraw when she's emotional. That's the space where her real femininity awakens, where she stops pretending, where she lets you into the parts of her that aren't curated. If you want her body, be charming. If you want her mind, be interesting. But if you want her soul, be safe. Let your presence be a sanctuary. The more grounded you are, the more real she becomes. Because the man she trusts becomes the man she desires. She was leaning in. She was laughing at your jokes, texting you first, maybe even sleeping beside you. You felt like you were there, like she was finally yours. And then she pulled back, cold, distant, unavailable. You're left wondering what happened. I didn't do anything wrong. But the truth is, you did do something. You rushed the rhythm, and in doing so, you broke the very thing she was starting to build: emotional trust. For many women, especially those with depth, connection is not linear. It doesn't go from first date compliment sex relationship. It ebbs and flows. It tests and retreats. It warms and cools. Why? Because unlike men whose attraction often spikes quickly, female desire builds gradually, and it thrives on anticipation, mystery, emotional progression. But when a man tries to fast forward the timeline, where's this going after one date? Being overly affectionate before she's ready, pushing for intimacy without emotional buildup, texting constantly without giving her space to breathe. He short-circuits her natural rhythm. Instead of feeling pursued, she feels pressured. Instead of feeling chosen, she feels claimed. And just like that, the magic breaks. A woman I coached told me this. "I was seeing this guy who seemed amazing. Funny, smart, charming. Our first 2 dates were great. But then he started texting me nonstop. I miss you. What are you doing now? Can I see you tonight?" At first I felt flattered, then suffocated. It was like he needed me to prove something constantly. I didn't even have a chance to miss him. She ghosted him not because she was a player, but because he didn't understand her pace. Want to build real connection. Resist the urge to lock it down quickly. Let tension stretch. Let emotions evolve. Let her come to you, not just you to her. Because when you create space, when you don't flood the silence, when you let her feel her own desire growing, you become irresistible. You become a man she chooses, not just someone who chased her fast enough. You don't need to rush to prove you care. You don't need to hurry to secure her. Real emotional connection is like a song. There's rhythm, pauses, swells, silence. If you try to play all the notes at once, it becomes noise. But when you honor the tempo of her heart, you create harmony. And in that harmony, desire lives and breathes. You've peeled back the layers. You've passed the tests, the silences, the subtle shifts. You've stayed present when others disappeared. And now, she's letting you in. Not the version she shows the world. Not the curated, composed, carefully crafted one. No, she's showing you the core. The messy, brilliant, scarred, passionate, imperfect, powerful center of who she is. And if you don't understand what that moment means, you might lose her before you ever truly have her. For many women, love isn't something they do, it's something they become. When she gives herself fully, it's not just affection. It's her softness, her fears, her childhood wounds, her body, her mind, her emotional world, her spiritual yearning, all at once. That's why when a woman falls in love, she changes. Her rhythms shift. Her decisions revolve around you. Her intuition starts including you in her vision of the future. And that's exactly why it terrifies her. A woman once said to me, "The moment I realized I loved him, I felt this wave of fear I couldn't explain. It was like I had handed him the blueprint to destroy me. Because if he left, if he stopped seeing me, I wouldn't just lose a boyfriend. I'd lose the version of me I gave to him." That is the weight of her love. It's sacred, and it's fragile. When a woman reaches this final layer, she needs reassurance without being needy. She needs to feel that you see all of her, not just the parts you benefit from. That you still choose her when she's anxious, hormonal, insecure, or quiet. That your love isn't just passion, it's presence. That you're not addicted to her high moments, but committed through her low ones. Because at this stage, every past betrayal whispers in her ear, don't go too far. Don't trust too much. Don't lose yourself again. And your job isn't to fix that voice. Your job is to quiet it with consistency. Love her like you're holding a flame, firm enough to keep it alive, gentle enough not to smother it. Because when a woman loves fully, she doesn't love like a half-hearted echo. She loves like a lifetime, and the man who honors that becomes part of her forever story.